Thanks for having me. So, I want to show you what is going on in the world of SOC in terms of security architecture and design. So, today, Microsoft announced a new line of product based on an agentic. A while ago, no more than a couple of weeks ago, was announced the new Entra ID agentic, and right now it was announced a new line of products where you can customize the overall agent. So let's go through that. At this moment, this one is the announcement that was published. So this offer is going to join the overall offer of a managed data lake that was recently introduced by Microsoft about Sentinel. In summary, is graph-based context, semantic access, and agentic orchestration. Now, if you go a bit more in deep, obviously the underneath foundation is the Sentinel data lake, but it was released as a managed service. So that means that it can become a pay-as-you-go kind of platform. On top, it was created an entire marketplace, and these agents are available with dedicated functions. There are many created already. Some can be customized, and all around LinkedIn and whatever platform you'll use, you'll find repeated the same announcement with what is actually performed. One of the main news is about the data compression, that it should cut the overall cost of the solution. This one is kind of interesting in terms also of cost of the final solution. But if we go a bit back in the direction that Microsoft is keeping, the data lake that they propose is fully managed, and you get the entire pipeline. In summary, you have a data pipeline end-to-end already enriched with all data, the capability for the queries and the aggregation. This one is going to be a new approach that in May, if I remember properly, they started to introduce also an opportunity for MSSP to manage multiple tenants. It means that from their workspace can see the other customer. So that is what is, in summary, the offer is becoming an offer that is tailored ad hoc MSSP, even protecting what they could define intellectual property of MSSP, and it will generate a marketplace. This marketplace will be made of all these agentic. I'm expecting to have tons of vendors jumping on the marketplace and probably transforming the nature of a SOC. So far, I've seen 2 video of demo, one for the custom agent that is interesting because it somehow help who doesn't have a data science background on writing their own notebook parser and getting the most out of a data lake. It simplify that approach, but it does open up also to an ecosystem of various agents that will take over the function of a SOAR. Microsoft never had his own SOAR, differently than other vendors that are part of a cloud service ecosystem, and this move is probably simplifying the fact that everything right now will be driven by an agentic design. Now, if we go in deep into the announcement, we discover that the agentic, and I'm going to show you, integrated with all various services, including the agent. And so this one is supposed to be the security store. And you'll have the Microsoft Defender, the Entra, the Intune, the Purview. The Purview will for sure integrate all data labeling for the DLP solution. This move is obviously going to give more flexibility in the offering. But if a SOAR was an integrated data pipeline and ACI/CD in the real meaning, centralized with playbook and a plethora of connectivity by API integration to third-party platform to perform action in case of an incident, here you find an ecosystem where there is a sort of peer-to-peer between agents and not a real pipeline underneath. At the time that the market store will be open to third parties, for sure the token management will become a critical topic, because you don't want to have a static token all around these agents. Agents introduce also the fact that they are based on protocols that sometimes miss authentication. Now, in the specific, I suppose whatever is within the Microsoft ecosystem will use the key store. But I've been Googling all around, couldn't find much about the technical documentation on these nitty-gritty details. But for sure, token is one of the big concerns. The AI agent protocol is a concern. If you check on my channel, I did already an investigation of all agentic protocols, and you'll see in my SlideShare research that there is a table with all protocols showing what is wrong with each and how often this protocol don't have a proper authentication. Now, recognize which agent is talking and which agent is joining and connecting will become a critical portion of the security of a platform as a SOC. You don't want a malicious agent to join your pipeline. MTLS could be a way, having the client certificate, but there is not much in terms of how will be orchestrated this pipeline. The communication, if are becoming a sort of peer-to-peer, will not be driven anymore by a playbook, will be a cascade of events, and the output of one agent will become the input of another agent. That's also add a bit more complexity in terms of data. What is moving about the investigation across all these agents, how you troubleshoot this connection, and what is the order, how does it do that? These are all security architecture concern. Identity is a pillar, authenticating the application itself is another pillar of the authentication. The token rotation should be there, but most of the agentic that I saw so far are actually hard-coded, and that's it. You have a static token talking through some protocol like A2A and nothing more. So adding this kind of point of view in terms of how you evaluate your SOC, how we look all these integration is starting to become really important. I think the real union of all these elements should be an agentic gateway, because it would be logical to use it as it is for the API gateway, and some API gateway projects are already integrating the agent part. So I would see a design where, yes, you have a market store, but you don't trust through the market store taking in heritage the subscription access like that. You need also certain type of permission of access the rotation. So I think there is a lot to discuss, not much about this product itself on how they integrated, because I suppose is smoothly integrated, already recognizing who is part of a subscription, but more for the future. You need anyway to have agent performing certain specific operation in your environment. For the future, I do envision that probably the Azure local product line will expand with this one too. So to allow the same kind of granularity in terms of SIM also for the on-prem. I suppose most will be interested to have something like that. But there is a key point also on seeing how will go all VMware migration, the hypervisor, if it will be ditched completely to jump and skip to a real microservice-oriented path, on-prem and not on-prem. Azure Local is ready for both scenario and could be a potential. I'm not sure how the agentic could work in that scenario in terms of computational power too, and in terms of not transmitting the data continuously and moving. Another key point of a Sentinel right now is the integration with our cloud service provider. You need to use this data lake, and it doesn't do a cross search across multiple cloud service provider. That become a continuous movement of data from one cloud service provider to the other one. They do have already integration cloud-wise with others cloud providers. Azure Arc could become probably that cross-cluster search too. It's just an assumption on how a design could work across different cloud service provider. Also considering that if you move data, you need to consider the cost of that too, in terms of getting out of a cloud service because you have the traffic out, but also the ingestion in a new platform. I do suppose the compression will change a bit the picture of the pricing, because so far, if you think a compression that could save you 6 times the space, and considering the capabilities to anyway use a cold storage for the archive, it could make sense. But also moving before the Sentinel was really easy to be moved into a blob in a cold storage. I don't know how it will work with an agentic that probably need also the historic data. And I don't know for how long. It depends probably on the function of the agent, on correlating and how much need to correlate. Because whatever need to be analyzed, it will need to be there. This one is a bit the first comment that I have on my side. I would say that is refreshing to see a modern approach, but I would comment that there are many other in the market approaching to this design coming from a SOAR experience. Swimlane is one of that. Is actually moving away from the SOAR, transforming those playbook into an agentic. So there are various ways of seeing this problem. For sure, the SOAR was having a good centralization in terms of key store, pipeline, potential rotation. In my opinion, most of the SOAR were missing that important topic, the rotation. But in general, there was a pipeline. Now, how it will work at the time that an environment is compromised, and what if is the subscription to be compromised? I don't see really smart to have a Sentinel straight on the same subscription and risk to get the Sentinel itself compromised. So a separation between the subscription and could be a smart move too. If you look at the Azure local configuration as well, there is a big portion of hardening in terms of identity. You can specify which resources are part and dedicated to Azure local, but you can also follow the recommendation that they give you to have a dedicated subscription for the Azure local with a dedicated entire identity provider, a separated IDP for that. That most of the time can be on-prem. In the Azure local case, you have three ways. You can point to the on-prem, you can point to the Azure AD, or you can point to the key store if you decide to have a private cloud. I think this design could be applied to everywhere, because you could have also a cloud service and decide to not have internet access and just use a private connectivity through an express route, for example, to make it to become an hybrid private. I think it's opening up a good commercial opportunities for that. Is already, if you read in this image, is already talking about 350 Sentinel connectors. Now the question is how all these data get indexed, because it will be unlabeled data, and how does it work in terms of feeds, threat hunting feeds? Are those included, or is a separate agentic that will parse for that? We have all opportunities to have a long chain of third-party agentic, and wider it is, wider you open to a supply chain attack too. So it's an interesting, really. I like, and I decided to do a video because it's something a bit more related to the future, and somehow about something that we already seen, because Sentinel is there for a while, and this agentic, the Entra ID, for example, in terms of incident response, being the agentic for the IAM, is going to be used more and more and more. Now, I would see also some sort of potential attack into this ecosystem where malicious agentic are joining. They do perform action, and they could potentially have credential. But we will see with the time. It's for sure time to stay tuned and see what is going on. So far, these one are my comment security architecture wise. Pay attention to the token, trying to understand how you recognize this agent. Do they use mutual TLS? Which kind of authentication, which protocol they do have? And can you use a gateway? Also considering that you'll scale to multiple, is becoming an ecosystem similar to the API. You risk to have too much around there, not having a dedicated gateway to have this visibility, to have a control, and to see which traffic is going out. Because another problem is that some of these agentic will have direct internet access too. And I do see a potential issue where, Purview is an agentic dedicated to the labeling of the data, but who does control the controller? So that is another important fact. As I said, something that I state is based on an announcement that is a bit skinny. There is not much documentation around. It was just announced today. Probably in the next few days we will get more, but the start is really interesting, and is a food for the entire industry. I did a bit of research, and I see that on the agentic there is a good ecosystem of startup already working on that. But I see also some old players, and I'm kind of curious to see what is the reply or other players like Elastic, Splunk, and trying to see what he will be the overall direction. I saw also open source implementation of AI within Wazoo, and I'm curious to see if they will start to approach to this problem in the same way. It would be really interesting to see that. I can forecast that the API gateway that it will implement better the agentic in terms of gateway, or some sort of service like Cloudflare doing that could have a real good potential in terms of also of security, because at that stage you'll connect the vault directly to the gateway. You'll have the DNS control, you'll have a gateway structure where you can police who can get access to what, and that to the east-west traffic, in any case, if it's between agentic in a peer-to-peer design, or if it's east-west of endpoint within the LAN, doesn't change much. They are still workload with data at risk of potential exfiltration. Stay tuned. I hope you enjoyed this quick chat, and let's see how we progress. Thanks a million for having me. It was really good. I hope you follow and subscribe to the channel, and look at SlideShare, my SlideShare. You'll find the agentic protocol analysis with which kind of weakness they have. Okay, cheers, take care.